Sustainable business is fueled by sustainable, sacred sales. And those happen when you rest in your truth, when you rest in your knowing, when you rest in your true power, which is enormous and tender at the same time. Sales is the skill we have not been taught in our society that gives us financial freedom. We live in a society where class is presented as something fixed. Whatever class we're given, that's the class we get to live. People who are born into a really wealthy environment have no idea how. They weren't taught how to become wealthy. They were taught to be wealthy. But they don't know how to change any more than anybody else does. Sales is the skill that dismantles that fixed state. You learn sales, you can make money anytime you want, anytime you need for the rest of your life. When I say sales, when I say money, I am always talking about truth and God, always. They are not ever separate from me. The power that you get to exercise in your own life is directly connected to your willingness to claim your power to serve and be willing to be intimate, willing to be rejected, willing to be seen in your power. Anytime I have changed my financial results, every time it's just because of what I did in sales calls, mostly my willingness to have them at all. Sales is the activity that will change how money moves in your life, in your business. Doesn't mean that marketing isn't useful. Advertising can be useful, all those things. But if it's not resulting in you having conversations with people, money's not going to move differently. And sales conversations are confronting because you could be rejected. They're confronting because they're intimate. They're confronting because they are a space for you to be seen in your power, in your truth. And if you're stepping into a new version of yourself, a truer version of yourself, you will feel it in sales conversations. From the beginning, sales has been spiritual practice for me. Like the kind of spiritual practice that you could put on the menu with meditation, kirtan, breath work, psychedelic journey, sales call. And choose which spiritual practice is going to really support me the most in calibrating to what is true today. Sales calls, when I talk about them, are sacred. They are service. They are artistic expression, unique to you. When I talk about sales calls, I'm talking about what you do when you are a coach talking to a potential client. I'm talking about what you do when you are a filmmaker, fundraising, raising funds for a film. I'm talking about what happens when you are a venture capitalist looking for an investor. These are all conversations I have been in, and they are all as much the same as any sales conversations are the same. They're all the same. Every sales conversation in my mind should be jazz. Every single one should be a unique creative pulse between you and the person or people you're talking to. There is no formula. The formulas go against the essence of what makes sales calls service. It doesn't mean that you don't learn some structures for how to play your instrument, let the music come through you. But they change based on the person that you're talking to. Sales conversations start with their desire. What do they want? What do they care about? What matters to them. If you're in a sales conversation, you want to serve, you want to make things better for everyone involved. The people who are paying you, the people who are paying them, the people that you're paying. What do they want? And this is a really deep question. Knowing how to do it in a way that's correct for you and also takes the conversation in the way that you will be most useful is a skill that I love to teach. So desire is the first, you could say, phase of the conversation. And then the second phase is the obstacle. What's in the way? Why you say you want a seven-figure business? Why do you think you don't have that? I'm thinking about the Costa Rica project that's in the room. What do you get out of it? What do you care about? What's the goal? Whatever they say, then why isn't that your default setting? And if they're like, oh no, it is, then you haven't gone deep enough in the desire. Okay, well then let's go back. What's the thing that you don't have already that you want? Because I'm only here for massive transformation. Like, yes, we're talking about a business transaction. We're talking about you investing in this project, but why are we talking? Because you could find 100 other projects in the next 5 minutes to invest in. Why are we connected? What's going to get, what's going to have this experience be life changing for you? Go there. Go there. Phase three is what happens if you don't change. I call that default. And really, this whole thing is just about looking at change, looking at decision, looking at the fork in the road. There's something that they are there to change, or they wouldn't be talking to you. What is it? Your job here is to help them be clear, which is important. Traditional sales methods are generally valuing the salesperson's ability to sell, to close the sale. I don't believe in that. I don't like being sold things that I don't need. We're living in a society where nobody does. I mean, people are real sensitive, real mature, real clear when it's not about them. They can feel it a mile away. So you get the relief of knowing that your job isn't to sell anyone that isn't wanting what you've got. That's not your job. Your job is to serve them by helping them understand the fork in the road that they're at. If they want to go down the fork of change and you can help them, then it changes. Then the conversation changes. But for the first half, if not more, of the sales conversation, you're not there yet. You're just trying to understand what the lay of the land is. So this is what you say you want. This is why you don't have it. And this is what you have instead. Or this is what you will have instead down the road. Then the fourth phase is I call serious. And it's real simple. It's just like which direction you go in. I call it serious because I usually, at that point, I know which direction they want to go. And so I'm asking the question in the form of, how serious are you about making change? They don't have to do it yet, but I'm going to ask them. I call this the sales score. It's an improvisational structure that organizes the conversation so that you know where you are at every point in the conversation. It's not a formula, it's not a script. You're going to do it different ways every time. You're going to use what they say in ways you cannot rehearse for, you cannot prepare for. I still am at risk to go rogue. I get excited about things that people are talking about. I want to go down that rabbit hole. I want to take adventures with them. And if I don't know what I'm doing, if I don't have any structure at all, I will not know when it's in service and when it's sabotage. But because of the sales score, I know. I know where I am at every point. And so if I'm diverging, I can reflect. I can even include the person I'm talking to and recognize I want to depart for a minute. Can I put on my coaching hat and do some coaching with you for 5 minutes? Can we go down this road? Okay, great. Let's come back. The part of the sales conversation that I've just taught, I would say that's the first half. It's the part that requires the most sophistication and maturity, the most insight, the most resting in your knowing. It's the most intimate. It's very intimate. And your capacity to hold your potential client, your potential investor, your potential customer in that part of the conversation, that's what sets the standard for the relationship. Resting in your power, resting in your knowing. It's resting, it's leaning back. One of my favorite clients that I ever worked with was a very spiritual, esoteric vocal teacher. At first, she was so glitchy because she wasn't singing. So she'd go into the sales calls and she'd sort of pretend to be this contorted, strange version of herself. Part of what we do in Sales Full Stop is look at evidence of us doing sales calls. So we'd see her often on video doing this weird, it was like, wait, who are you being right now? Who's that? That's not you. I've never met that version of you. No wonder people aren't buying because what are you doing? And she was just like, well, but how am I supposed to be singing on the call? It was really tough for her to accept that that was an appropriate thing to do in a sales conversation for her as a vocal instructor. And so she started to do it. She just started to open up. And by the end of the program, her sales conversations were almost nonverbal, which again was correct for her. There was a really potent transmission in how she was being with her people that was uniquely communicated through her voice and her invitation for them to use theirs. What do you want? Sing it to me. Sing about what you want. Let yourself express. I mean, land them right in the center of their body. There's nothing better. And her business skyrocketed. And it was very inspiring for everybody else to witness because it was like, oh, that's how it's supposed to go. And then immediately, what does that look like for me? What does my authenticity bring to the conversation I am still relegating to the outside? True power is being seen both in your enormity and in your humanity, in your vulnerability. Most power that we see out in the world right now that is associated with oppression and injustice is not that kind of power. It is deeply disconnected from humanity. It is deeply disconnected from vulnerability. It is only the power. There is tremendous nakedness when you say yes to being seen and known and experienced in your true power, both in the direction of your greatness, to be seen and experienced as the size that you truly are. And at the same time, to be seen in your fragility, in your limitation, in your grief, in your truth, moment to moment. Sales requires both.